nothing come close to that voice that just spoke, because the thing that really got me was that voice did not come from within me. It spoke within me, but it came from somewhere else. And I tell you what, I got a real shock. and that voice said, Vaughan said those 5 things, and he says, you'll be set free from drugs, you'll meet Jesus Christ. And this voice inside of me said, that's the truth. And that's all it said. It just said, that's the truth. Well, when I heard that, it was like I kind of, whoa, I got a fright, and I kind of, whoa, where did that come from, and he says to me, well, God wants you to walk off the methadone. Are you going to do it or not? Now, see, the thing with the methadone is, when you get on the methadone program, there's this waiting list, and at that time there was a waiting list of anywhere between 6 months and a year. So to walk off the methadone program when you're an addict, and it's the one thing that I felt was not only keeping me out of jail but probably keeping me alive, to walk off the methadone program is just not a wise choice. Because if you're off the program, you go to the end of the waiting list. The waiting list 6 months to a year long. What do you do in between time? Well, in my case, it's commit crime. And I just, the judge had pretty much made it clear to me what was going to happen the next time I came up for drug-related offences. And so, all this is going through my head. When he says this is all going through my head. And as soon as he said, well, are you going to do it or not, in my mind, this frantic plan developed, just like that. And the plan was, yeah, I'll do it, but not yet. I'll psych up for a week. And I was about to say it. I thought, yeah, I'll psych up for a week. I'll get myself psyched, and maybe I'll do it in a week's time or 2. And as soon as I thought that, and I actually went to say it to him, that same voice come back, and he said, it's now or never. Like this, and I thought, whoa, like that, and I thought, hey, hold on, what's this saying to me, and he just said, it's now or never, and suddenly, I just absolutely knew, as much as I've known anything in my life, that an opportunity was right there, an opportunity. Now, people have said to me, you become a Christian to get off drugs, or drugs, the life you lived you were sick of, so you became a Christian. I never became a Christian for those reasons. I became a Christian because I saw evidence of God. I saw evidence that he did exist, evidence I just couldn't ignore. And, and when I started to see this evidence, I said, well, I'm not going to go through my life and find out at the end of it that it was real. I thought, man, if I do it once in my life, I'll do it now. I thought I'll make one attempt to find out, is he real or not? And I thought, and if he's not, my lifestyle's not going to disappear. There'll always be drugs. I thought I can always go back to the same old thing. I thought, but man, if he is, I don't want to miss out. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So anyway, off we went down to the chemist, and I walked in there, and the guy's pouring out my methadone into the cup, and I says, no mate, I'm walking off the program. And he says, oh, are you sure about this? And I said, yep, I'm sure about it. So he says, oh, you bet, have you told the people up the clinic? And I said, no, not yet. And he said, well, maybe you better go and see them. So I went up there, and I told them. Well, they said to me, and I suppose they thought that I had gone a bit crazy or something, because they said, oh, well, you sure you want to do this? I says, yeah. And they says, look, it's it's really good that you're trying to get off the program and all this. And they said, but if you when withdrawals start and it gets too much for you, just come on back and we'll hold your place open, and no problems, give it a go, but when it gets too much, just come on back. Now, when they said those words, that voice spoke to me again, and it just said, you don't leave this room without the option of the methadone program being absolutely closed. And when those words were said to me, when he said those words, I understood what he meant. He said, you either do it relying absolutely on me, or don't do it at all. He said there can't be a plan B. It's just totally rely on God, or don't do it. And I thought, right. And I said to them, I said, look, I want you to give my place away tonight. I want you to give, there's heaps of people on the waiting list. I says, look, I want you to give my place away to somebody else on the waiting list. I says, because I've got to rely on what's happening here. So I walked out of there. Well, that was about probably 9:30 in the morning. And about 7 o'clock that night, I was sitting at home, and I mean, nothing, I felt really positive about what I'd done, but nothing had really happened, and my brother had been with me all day, and he's going, oh, Jesus this and Jesus that, and I'm thinking, yeah, but meanwhile I'm thinking, well, you've had this sort of experience with him, but I really haven't had any real experience with him. I thought, nothing's really happened to me. And well, anyway, that night about 7 o'clock, I'm sitting at home, so I thought, right, I'll go down to the dairy. For some reason, so I jumped on the push bike and I shot off to the dairy. Well, I was riding up the road, and I lived out on David Street, New Plymouth, which is kind of across the road from the Taranaki Base Hospital. And I'm going up the road on a push bike. And as I was going up the hill there, by this time, everything that I'd done had hit me like a ton of bricks. And suddenly, everything that Vaughan had said to me, all this stuff about Jesus, suddenly it was like I saw it in my own mind, how it really was. And I thought, oh no. My brother claims to have had some revelation of God, some experience with God, but I haven't had any. However, I'm the one that's just walked off the program. I thought, man, if he's wrong, if he's just off on some trip, I thought, I've actually walked off the program. I thought, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and there's going to be no methadone for me. I said, and I'm going to start to feel sick. And by the next day I'm going to start to feel a lot sicker. And by the day after I'm going to start to feel really sick. And then I'm in a bad situation. And because coming off methadone is bad. And anyway, I'm thinking all these things. And the more I thought about them, the more I realised that I'd just made the most rash, impulsive, stupid move I'd ever made in my entire life. And I've made a few rash, impulsive, stupid moves, but this one just seemed to top everything. And I just thought, oh no, and I'm riding up the road on my push bike, my head's going at 100 miles an hour freaking. Suddenly, from out of absolutely nowhere, I'm thinking all this stuff, suddenly, bang, that voice again. Right in here, just went, stop the bike. Well, I got such a shock, I just stopped the bike on the spot. And then he said to me, now look around at this world I've made. And I was kind of standing there, I'm still reeling from the shock of this voice speaking to me, and I was looking around, and it was about probably 7 at night, and it was just coming onto the sunset there, and there was this beautiful sunset. It was one of those sunsets where, the clouds have gone that real beautiful orange colour, and the sun was just starting to set, and I kind of was looking at it, and the view I had from up there was I could see right over a lot of New Plymouth and out to sea, and I sort of looked at it and I thought, yeah, this really is a beautiful world, I thought, if there's a God, and it's the God of the Bible who, according to the Bible, just spoke and this world was created. I thought, if there is a God with that much power, and I thought, and if that's the same God that's talked to my brother, and the same God that has told me to get off the methadone because he's going to look after me, I thought, what's a drug habit to a God like that? I thought it might be everything to me. It might be something that totally controls me. I thought, but what does it take for him to get rid of it? He'd just flick his fingers and be gone, And as I was thinking these things, and as I was looking into the sky, and my eyes started to come down, and I looked at the hospital, and my eyes just came onto the Taranaki Base Hospital there, and when they did, this feeling kind of went right through me, and the only way I can describe it, it was like this feeling of just like, right, get ready, because something real big's about to happen. And it was so kind of sudden and so absolutely certain with what it said that it actually gave me like a fright, you know. I remember kind of going and drawing my breath in, because I just knew something really big was about to happen, and it was a little bit scary, you know. And next minute, I mean, it's easy to just say, I mean, the words to just say, you know, a voice spoke to me. Now this is different than what I've said up till now. I mean, I'd heard this voice kind of talking to me from inside of myself, and I mean, that was freaky enough. But this wasn't like that. This wasn't inside of myself. It was as audible as anyone's voice, except more so. It was more there than I can't really find the words to describe it. All I can say, it was the realest thing I've probably experienced in my whole life, you know. And suddenly this voice just speaks, and instantly I knew I was hearing God's voice. I knew it without a shadow of a doubt that I was hearing God's voice. And what he said to me was, he said, there's a man in there, in that hospital, that's about to die. And he said, and I want you to go in there. And I'm just, like this. Now, I mean, 3 things have happened all at once. I mean, one, for the first time in my whole life, an audible voice is speaking to me. Now, I mean, it sounds easy to just say, an audible voice spoke to me, and you go, oh yeah, but it's not like that when it happens to you. I mean, when an audible voice speaks to you, your whole sense of reality just comes to an absolute halt. Everything you've ever known and believed turns on its side. I mean, it just stopped everything in its tracks. And so that's the first thing that happens. I'm trying to deal with the fact that I'm hearing an audible voice. The second thing I'm trying to deal with is the fact that it's not just any old audible voice, it's God's voice. And therefore, I've just suddenly got absolute proof that I can never turn back from now for the rest of my life, that God absolutely exists. Thirdly, not only am I hearing an audible voice and now I've been proved God exists, but he's actually asking me to do something. I mean, I had to take these 3 things in, just bang like that, in a matter of seconds, you know. And I mean, honestly, it was almost too much. I was standing there on the side of the road with my push bike. I was shaking. I was literally shaking. And I tell you, in my mind, I wanted to just run. Something in me just was saying, get on that bike and go, you know. And I just wanted to get out of there, you know, because this was just like, this had gone past too much. This was going into the area I'd never been ever. And, you know, and I was freaking out. And then he said to me, are you going to go in there or not? And I'm thinking, oh man, like this. And one part of me was wanting to go, no, I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to acknowledge that you exist. I'm not going to change anything in my life. I'm just going to run away, you know. One part of me really wanted to do that. But you know, I just couldn't turn away from this. It was just too big. And I stand there and he says, just drop the bike. And next minute I just said, and I remember saying this out loud, I said, okay, I'll do it. Well, as soon as I said those words, okay, I'll do it, my hands just flew open like that and I just dropped the bike. Next minute I know, I'm just running towards the hospital. Now I didn't send the message to my legs to run. All I said was, okay, I'll do it. Next minute, bang, I'm running. And when I've told this testimony before, I've always used this way to describe it, because I can't think of any other way. And it was like, say you're sitting in a car, you're looking out the window screen, you're driving along. You know, that's what you've done always. You've driven along in the car. Like, we're looking through our eyes, we're cruising around. Well, suddenly it's like someone else just moves in. Next minute you're in the passenger seat. You're still looking out the same window screen, but now you're not driving. Someone else is driving and you're just along for the ride. That's exactly what it was like. I was just along for the ride. My body just ran. And next minute I'm in the hospital. Well, when I went into the hospital, I mean, you know, I had this, my hair was everywhere. I had this ripped up old punk rock shirt on. I had this pair of old training pants on, bare feet. I looked like nothing on earth. You know, I'd been on drugs for 20 years, and I looked it, and here I was in the hospital. And now, you know, I've got convictions. All my convictions are pretty much drug related for doing things like ripping off places like this. And so I'm the last person on earth that wants to be acting crazy in a hospital, yet here I was acting crazy in a hospital. Now see, I was aware that what was happening to me looked crazy. I mean, you know, I was very aware of that. And I'm in this hospital and I'm going flat out. Now, you know how fast them joggers walk? You know them guys that, they don't actually, not joggers, them walking races, they don't actually jog, but they're past the walking stage. I kind of like that. Well, I was like that. And I was going flat out through the hospital. Well, I just couldn't slow down. And I'm thinking, oh man, and I remember thinking to myself, slow down, so that people don't, hey Drew, so that people don't, you know, freak out and ring the cops or something. But I just couldn't. And next minute I'll go flying into the where the lift was. Well, my hand just shot out like that. I hit the lift button, the lift door comes open, and as it's coming open, my arm just shoots out in front of me and disappears round the side, out of my view, and I feel it hit into something. And so I sort of followed my hand into the lift, and there was my finger just on the number 4 button. Well, I remember just thinking, what's the odds of just flying your finger round a corner out of your sight and it hitting any button? You know, and I mean, I'm just thinking, man, this is just all too much. Well, next minute I'm in the lift. Now, as I was going up that lift to the 4th floor, in my mind, this frantic fear and panic had started. And and my mind was just going, get out of here, you know, and all these thoughts are going through my head. Yet meanwhile, down here, there was this kind of calm knowing that I was in good hands, you know. So this war was going on. There was a war between this, and it was a raging war, you know. And as just before that lift door opened, I remember my head screaming, turn back, turn back. Next minute, bang, the door's open and I'm out in the corridor. Well, I'm going down the corridor towards the 4th wall, and I remember thinking to myself, slow down, slow down. I just couldn't slow down. I'm going flat out. Well, when I saw the doors coming up, my hands just shot out and the doors just went flying open, and I'm in the wing of the corridor. And I'm just thinking, oh man, this is going to end up with me in jail. And, or Ward 17, you know. And, well, anyway, I see the first bedroom, and I've figured it out in my head by now what's happening. I've thought, yeah, okay, there's some person that's about to die in this hospital, and for some unknown reason, God has chosen me to go to this person and, I don't know, preach the gospel or tell them about Jesus or something along those lines. I didn't really know what I was going to do once I run into them. I figured out it must be something like that. So I'm just thinking, well, what do I know what to say? You know, what do I know about God? Who am I to walk into some dying guy's room and start preaching to him? You know, and all these thoughts are going through my head. And anyway, I'm flying towards the thing, and so I see this bedroom coming up, and I thought, okay, right, I better take charge here. This is getting too much. I thought, right, I better start doing something here. And I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll just walk into that bedroom, and I thought, and I'll look at the people in bed, and when I see if there's somebody that's, you know, I get some sort of a sign or a feeling or maybe that voice or whatever about, I'll go up and I'll talk to them. Otherwise I'll go to the next room and I'll keep doing it till I find this person. Well, I mean, you know, so anyway, I go flying up to this room. I went to walk in it, and I just walked straight past the room, flat out, like one of those walking guys. So that freaked me right out, because until now you know, I knew I was being led. I'd come to kind of, I'd acknowledge that, but this was the first time I'd actually gone to do something on the first time I'd actually gone to do something and it hadn't actually worked. And I'll tell you once again, this is a freaky thing. It sounds easy to say, but when you're in the experience of, you think to yourself, oh, I just might walk out of that room, and you go to walk out and end up walking somewhere else, it gives you a real shock. And next minute I know, I'm coming up to the second door. So I thought to myself, now I don't understand why I didn't go into that first door. I thought, but one thing I know for certain is I'm definitely going into this one. So I go to walk into that one and I just went straight past. So I thought, I'm thinking, oh man, this is too much. Next minute I know, I'm coming up to the third door. So I've focused all my will on going into that third door. I am going to go into that third door, and I just walked straight past. Well, when that happened, I suddenly realised, I suddenly saw it, yep, now I see what's going on. I thought, the guy is in the fourth room. That's why God wouldn't let me walk in the first three rooms, because he wants me to go to the fourth room. I thought, okay, I've figured that much out. I thought, now I'm about to come face to face with this guy, and I thought, man, what am I going to say, And I'm thinking, right, what's the opening line? And I'm frantically thinking of an opening line, instead of just standing there looking like a fool. And I go to walk into the fourth room, and I just walk straight past. Well, when that happened, my mind went frantic, and I thought to myself, now hold on, God is the one who supposedly brought me here. God is the one who supposedly told me there's this guy and who's going to die, and I'm following what he said, and he's lost. And I thought logically, I thought, well, God couldn't get lost, so I thought, maybe this is not God at all. I thought, maybe I've just absolutely, totally lost my mind, and the more I started looking at it, the more evidence there seemed to be for that. And I started thinking to myself, is this a mental breakdown? I thought, is this what happens to people when they have an absolute mental breakdown? I thought, am I actually going through one? And next minute I know I'm coming round to that first door again, and I thought, right, I'm going in that door one way or the other. And as I went to go in that door, I went straight past it again, and that same voice spoke to me again. And he said, will you stop doing that? And I just, oh man, and he says, will you just let me lead? Well, I thought, how do you just let someone lead? I thought, how do you do it? How do you just turn over everything and let someone else do it and not put in your own 2 cents worth? I didn't know how to do it, and the only thing I could think to do was close my eyes. So that's what I did. I just closed my eyes, and I went, if you know that hospital ward, it goes around like that. There's things in hospital wards, there's trolleys, there's people walking around. Well, I went flying around that hospital ward. I turned every corner. I never hit anything, I never run into anybody, and I'm going at a high speed the whole time with my eyes tightly closed. And when I came round for the third time, I opened my eyes and I was at the start of the wing again. I still hadn't gone into a room. And that's when I just started to absolutely panic, and I just thought, no, I know now this is not God. I thought, because I did let him lead and he still led me into no room. I thought, no, this is a mental breakdown. I thought, I have actually gone mad. And as I came round for the third time, I just thought to myself, I'm not going round this wing one more time. I thought, there's only one thing to do. I'll just throw myself on the floor so I get off my feet, which are doing all the walking, and I guess I'll just wait for the police and the doctors to arrive and throw me in Ward 17. I thought, that's me from now on. And suddenly I just turned like this, and next minute I'm flying towards the toilet. Well, I hadn't even noticed this door to the toilet. I'm so intent on going into these rooms. I see myself going towards the toilet, and I looked up and I saw the word toilet, and it was like this huge wave of despair just washed over me, and I thought, this isn't God. I thought, this is it. I'm absolutely gone insane. I thought, there is no dying person. There is no God speaking to me. Who gets saved in a toilet? I remember thinking that. I remember thinking, who gets saved in a toilet? And I come flying around the corner of that toilet and just come to a dead stop. Now, when I come to a stop, I came to this dead stop, and I was right in front of a mirror, and I was face to face with myself in the mirror, and my eyes just locked onto my eyes, and I tell you, I was as white as a ghost, and I was as white as a ghost. I was just trembling and shaking all over, and that same audible voice came back to me, and he said, "This is who I want to save." Man, I tell you, when I heard those words, I mean, it was like the reality of it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Just absolute reality hit me. And I can only describe it like this. It was like everything, it was like my entire life just went like that, whoom, as if it's sudden, and suddenly I just knew. I thought, man, everything, my whole life, everything, the reason I'm here, the whole deal is for this moment. You know, this is it. This is what I'm doing on this earth. This is what all this has been about, is this moment. And you know, and I just thought, he's real. You know, there was just no way I could. I mean, after that, that was it. And I thought, and I remember looking around me in the room, and the presence of God in there was so strong. I mean, I've never felt anything like it since, and I'd certainly never felt anything like it before. And I remember thinking, man, he's everywhere. He's just everywhere in this room. And as soon as I had that thought, that inner voice spoke again, and he said, yes, I am everywhere, but there's one place in this room where I'm not. And he said, and that's in you. He said, you have to invite me in. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. That's the key to it. And when he said those words, I suddenly knew the key to having this within me. And I just fell down to my knees, and I just said, Jesus, come into my heart. They were the exact words I said. Now, when I said those words, two things happened almost instantaneously. The first thing that happened is I said those words, and I felt, now the only way I can describe this is if you can imagine somebody inside of your stomach blowing outwards, because that's what it felt like. It felt like this sharp, forceful wind flying out the side where my ribs are, one from here and one from here, and there was two of them, and I felt these two things go flying out the side of me like that. And when they went out, I instantly understood it was demonic beings that had controlled addiction in my life, addiction and rejection in my life. I knew straight away that those two things had been in there working on those areas. I knew they were demons, and they flew out the side of me like that. And as that happened, the Holy Spirit came in, and the only way I can describe this is, here I am here. Suddenly I became aware that standing right next to me was the most, I just knew Jesus, the Holy Spirit was standing next to me. And suddenly it was like he took one step. He took a step, and I just felt his spirit come straight into my spirit, and I felt this feeling go through me. It was like water. It felt like water, and it came from the top of my head, and it started going down like this. And as it went down, I knew it was washing everything I'd ever done completely out of my system. I knew it was washing my soul absolutely clean, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've never experienced anything like it, and it was, the feeling that came into me was absolute love. But it wasn't love on a human scale. It wasn't what I would term love was up to that point. It wasn't like the love you'll find in a Mills and Boon book or anything like that. This was God's love, and it's far and beyond anything we can even comprehend, you know. And it just poured down through me like that, and I remember here, you know, I just thought, oh man, this is incredible. And then this voice said to me again, he said, you are saved. And I remember just thinking, yes, you know, and then he said to me, right, get up on your feet and leave the hospital. And I mean, I'm just blown away, you know, this feeling's just going right through my whole body now. I mean, Christians had spoken to me about this sort of thing in the past. Christians had said, "Oh, you think drugs are good. You wait till you feel the Holy Spirit." And I used to think to myself, "Oh yeah, but that's easy for you to say because you haven't had LSD, you haven't had heroin, you haven't had cocaine. Because if you had, you wouldn't be saying this. You'd be saying, oh yeah, God's good, but maybe not as good as heroin, but good. That's what I honestly believed." Well, I tell you, no drug in this that I've ever had could compare to this feeling. It was just the ultimate high. I know on this earth I'll probably never experience a high like that again. I don't need to. That was enough for me. Once I had that, I was sold. And he